Hello students, you must have gone through chapter 2, that is acids and bases and salts. I will be covering chapter 3 from now onwards, that is metals and non-metals. This is the very first topic in the chapter. We need to recall or revisit the physical differences between metals and non-metals. This is one topic that you have been studying since class 5-6 onwards. Still, I will recall all these points one by one. The very first thing, as you can see over here, is a state. State means metals are normally solids and non-metals are normally gaseous or gases. Second point is conductor. Conductor means metals are conductors of heat and electricity, whereas non-metals are non-conductors of heat and electricity. Next is regarding melting and boiling point. Metals have high melting and boiling points. Non-metals have low melting and boiling points. Then all these terms, ductility, malleability, sonorous and lustrous. Ductile, metals are ductile, non-metals are non-ductile. Metals are malleable, non-metals are non-malleable. Metals are sonorous, that means metals produces sound. Non-metals are not sonorous. And metals are lustrous. Lustrous means having sign. Metals have sign and non-metals do not have sign, obviously. So what the meaning of ductile and malleability, I'm leaving it up to you, leaving these two up to you. Please go to the chapter, try to recall what was ductility and what was malleability. Sometimes these two terms are confusing. So essentially these are the major points of differences, physical differences between metals and non-metals. However, there exist some exceptions in their characteristics. For example, in case of metals are normally solid, and what is the exception? That is mercury. Mercury have the formula symbol Ag, and this is not solid. Mercury is liquid. You all know it, right? Next point is regarding metals. They have a high melting and boiling point. However, there are metals like gallium and cesium and few more are there, but ultimately these metals have low melting and boiling points. All right, that is an exception. Next, metals are usually hard, right, because they are solid, right? Iron, gold and all these are hard substances. However, here also we have an exception of sodium and potassium, and there are a few more, and these are not hard, rather they are very soft. They're like butter, like they can be cut with a knife. Right, they can be cut with a knife. They're very soft. So these are few exceptions that you need to study. I'm going through the list again. Metals are normally solid except mercury. Metals have high melting and boiling point except gallium and cesium, because they have low melting and boiling points. Metals are usually very hard, but sodium and potassium are very soft, rather they can be cut with a knife also. All right, these are the exceptions in metals. Next we are going to learn exception in non-metals. Coming to non-metals, the very first exception you should learn is regarding iodine. So iodine has a symbol of I, and you know what is the interesting thing about it? It is lustrous. However, iodine is a non-metal. Metals are lustrous, non-metals are non-lustrous, but iodine has a luster. So this is one exception that you need to learn. Next is, now these two are very interesting. One is diamond and other one is graphite. Now why I'm writing them together, there is a point over here. These two are allotropes of carbon. Now you will learn about allotropes later. I can discuss in later class. That is not the topic today. Now What's interesting about them is that the graphite, what about non-metals? They do not conduct heat and electricity, right? But graphite is a good conductor of heat and electricity. Graphite is present in your pencils, right? The pencil leads are made of graphite only. And what about diamond? Diamond is a non-metal because it is ultimately from carbon. Carbon is a non-metal. So diamond is a non-metal and it is supposed to be not hard, but in fact diamond is the hardest substance known, right? And it also has high melting point. It's very difficult to melt a diamond, right? So this is a very high melting point and it is one of the hardest substance known. So these two are exception also because non-metals are not supposed to show these properties, right? So we have learned the exceptions in metals, we have learned the exception in non-metals. What I want you to do now is that read the chapter till page 40. All right, first do that. After that, answer the questions on page 40 itself. There are few questions, 4 to 5. Please try to answer them. If you have any problem, any doubt, you can ask, right? Best of luck.